The intergenerational programme is all-encompassing, in my opinion. We try to cover all the areas of learning of the early years foundation stage that are the statutory guidelines of the government policy. But we can do that within the framework of being here with our friends at Nightingale. So that the programme has to be developmentally appropriate, we want it to be challenging, but we want it also to be accessible to everybody, no matter what their cognitive and physical ability. We have exercise classes that work both for people with dementia and those without dementia. We have buddied reading. We do number work together, but always we're actually working towards achieving the early learning goals. And that's really very exciting.
I think that, if you're building up any new program of activity and engagement, you've got to consider that people might respond to it in different ways. For 2 to 3 year olds to suddenly encounter 90 plus residents can be quite challenging. And, working with people that have been diagnosed with a dementia, I found it surprisingly interesting that there's been a degree of acceptance from both sides.
The benefits that the intergenerational program has brought for our residents in dementia nursing unit is that it brings a change of environment, change of faces. Again, it encourages bonding. I'm able to assess their mood. They might be having a rough time, they might be quite down, but each time we see the children coming in, they kind of really brighten up, or if they kind of just calm, they're fascinated, they want to see what's happening, and they've been brought to tears. So it's really, really beneficial for them.
I think it's rejuvenated me. It's a whole new aspect, being in a care home, which normally you expect old people of my age to be sitting around. And when the children come, it's like a light goes on. It's awakening, really. I love it.
Educationally, we follow the EYFS, the learning areas that are required for our children from 2 to 4, because those are the children that we're working with. And we take our objectives and aims of the EYFS and make sure that when the children work with the resident, that we are assessing and implementing those objectives in whatever we're doing. For instance, maths. Instead of doing something down in the nursery solo, we go up to the residents and we have a certain group that come and play maths games with us. And that's why the relationship's so important, because often the older generation's got so much to teach us.
What's your favourite activity?
Sing the exercise.
Is it singing exercise? Why do you like singing exercise? Do you have lots of fun with Fiona?
What stories do you tell to Fiona?
The monkey coat.
The benefits I've seen from Martha's perspective since she joined Apples and Honey have been immense. Her grandparents live in Australia, and so her access to people of other generations is perhaps more limited than some other children, and yet when she has gone home to Australia, she has embraced grandparents, talked with ease with people who are in wheelchairs or who are not able to hear very well or who are quite frail in their movements, as if none of those things are the case. And her grandparents have been so touched and quite emotional actually in telling me that she has just embraced them like she sees them every week. And that's a gift that she's been given since she started here. I'd describe Apples and Honey Nightingale as a place that can really make a child's childhood, because they'll spend it with people who are really family to them. They'll meet new friends of all ages.
The nursery also supports some of our staff members who can now bring their kids and spend time with the nursery. And I was actually one of them. So when the nursery opened, my daughter, I used to bring her into work, and that was the best time of my life ever. So it helps us with retention, because then childcare is an issue, particularly for young mothers.
The advantages are, which there are many actually, of having Noah at work with me. I get to travel in with her every day, and on the way back home. It gives me the peace of mind that she's actually so nearby, only a couple minutes walk away from my office, which is wonderful. But one of the greatest advantages is the development of her communication skills and her social skills overall.
I think that one of the successes of this particular intergenerational programme, because we are the first, is the impact it has made on so many other care homes and on so many other nurseries, and in fact on society.
In 5 years' time, I think the intergenerational program or activity is going to be a part of care. It's going to be fundamental. They will be the model of care, which includes young people, nursery children, and elderly people interacting in one community.
The future for Apples and Honey Nightingale can only go one way, and that's upwards and soar. We are learning wonderful things because it's such a special relationship.
The 3 words I would use to summarise the experience is that there's joy, there's love, and there's togetherness.